Also, I want to address this. The only reason why I stitched Simone Umba's videos is because I don't want colored people to be called black. As a black person, I don't want them to be called black because they are so racist and they see themselves better than us. Also, I want to address this. The only reason why I stitched Simone Umba's videos is because I don't want colored people to be called black. As a black person, I don't want them to be called black because they are so racist and they see themselves better than us. So when someone outside my own country says these people are colored people, these people are black people, they're not black people, they are colored people. I don't consider them to be in my community. I don't consider colored people to be in my community. So therefore, I don't see myself standing up for them ever. Have you ever experienced racism with a colored person and you look at them and you're just like, what the fuck makes you think you're better than me? That's the only reason why. Also, that's the only reason why I stood up and I did stitches and whatnot. Nonetheless,
Yo, Nkalapi. How do I say this humbly without offending either? Because in my space, I know that there are colored people who are fighting for the injustice which is done towards them. That I know. I mean, my closest net, I know this. And for those people, I will proudly support the colored community. But on the other hand, when I look at other coloreds who think that because they have a little bit of privilege in certain sectors, considering the fact that we come from an apartheid system. I'm not talking about apartheid, I'm talking about the system, which never went away, by the way, which still governs South Africa under a democratic society. We still have the mindsets that we have. Colored people, unaware, probably some of them that I know are aware that they go through struggles. I mean, look at our neighborhoods. Colored people live, mostly of them, live next to black townships. So they're not really that far from the struggle. They know the pain. They genuinely know the pain. I've spoken to some of them, like I said. Even I have my close net of friends. A colleague also who does not even want to identify as a colored woman. She wants to identify as a black woman because of the struggles and some of the rejection which comes from the colored community. I'm talking about my colleague. I'm talking about the texture of the hair also. I'm talking about the skin also. You should see what happens to dark-skinned colored people. You should see how they're treated. You know, I'm not excusing the behavior of racists. I'm just giving you a different perspective. That we are all fucked. As a black person, what I'm not gonna do is compare the struggles of coloreds and black people. I clearly understand that as a community, each of our communities have their own struggles that they faced. So it would be completely unfair to deem one suffering over the other as much better. One example I would like to use in this scenario is like the house Negroes in America. Those Negroes were usually light-skinned, and those dark-skinned Negroes would work in the fields in the sun. They usually protested a lot because of the harsh treatment that they faced, not just against the white Americans, but also from the harsh cruelty of the sun. And the light-skinned Negroes working inside the house, they also had their own struggles, which they had to deal with. Poorly treated, Like, it was not easy for them. However, when the light-skinned Negroes and the dark-skinned Negroes met, they looked like the light-skinned Negroes always had a nicer, comfortable life because they lived in the house, which the dark-skinned Negroes did not. So taking that scenario and taking apartheid, what they did to us, they would give coloureds a little bit of privilege where they would not harshly treat you badly, but also not treat you too good that you become too comfortable. I mean, hence I also use the phrase that the coloured people live next door to black people. Your houses, if you lived in townships, in the coloured townships, if you lived there, those townships are similar to how black townships are built. And the conditions are literally just similar. The only thing here is that the light skin and the texture of hair, that is your privilege. Because white people have this thing of conditioning us to believe that the light skinness is about superior, and so is the texture of the hair. So you would get positions that are slightly much better. And that system of oppression has not gone away. Jobs are given to you these days because of your ability to speak Afrikaans. You have an ability of being hired based on your ability of speaking Afrikaans. We know that black people don't genuinely speak Afrikaans because of how it was conditioned in our brain. So we literally have a trauma towards it. But for you, this is your home language and there's nothing you can do about it. So you have the ability of being hired a little bit more in comparison to black people. Yes, you do have a higher unemployment rate, but it is not on the same level of us. And some can say, oh, well, but black people are the majority, and so is the colored community. Black people, the colored community, also have a large community of people in comparison to the Indians, the white community, and so forth. Because of your ability as a colored person to blend in with the white community, what is called in America would be white passing. You have the ability to pass as a white person, as a colored person. So what I'm not gonna do is tell you the hierarchy of your community. You know it better than I do. So this is where the person that I stitched is talking about. Basically, certain people in your community have literally taken that mentality with them. Hence, I also talked about us, all of us being effed up, basically. What that apartheid system did to us, because it never went away. The system is still functioning in this country, whether we are in a democratic rule or not. That system is still very much alive because we never killed it. It's still with us, very much so present. Hence, we have the problems that we have today. Girl, at this point, you are boring me, sincerely and honestly. I don't do very well with incompetence. And frankly, you are beginning to display it even more, like your ancestors. Do you understand why the black woman who made that video said what she said?
I don't want colored people to be called black. As a black person, I don't want them to be called black because they are so racist and they see themselves better than us.
She said this because of this mindset ignorant coloreds like you give to other coloreds. Since you want to tell me that black people are given the most privilege in this country, then why do we face these problems? Young black females. The report detailed that during the third quarter of 2021, South African blacks, in comparison to other race groups, were standing at an unemployment rate of 39%. This was at least 9% higher than that of colored South Africans and 30% higher than that of white people. Privileged. Yet black South Africans live in such conditions, huh? So much privilege. So much privilege that we have the highest unemployment rate in this country. Mostly black South African women, even though we are educated. So privileged that we don't even have access to healthcare, proper healthcare, huh? So privileged. So privileged that we have to get water from the streams and contact cholera, what is it? Cholera? The regression results show that females overall earn 14% less than males. Amongst the 4 prominent racial groups in South Africa, blacks earn the least, followed by Indian, Coloureds, whites earning the most, 29%, 23% actually more than blacks. Oh, look at that. This puts black females at the bottom of the labor earnings hierarchy and the white males at the top. You can pause to read the rest on your own. So this is said by someone with a texture of hair and a skin lighter than mine and who speaks Afrikaans and tells me that I have privilege. You want to tell me, a black woman, that I have more privilege than you? You look like your colonizer ancestors, and you want to tell me that I have more privilege in this country that has denied me roles since the arrival of John van Riebeck, or John van Riebeck. Since his arrival, you want to tell me that I have privilege? And you're beginning to piss me off. Do you want me to package you and tell you who you are? Because the minute I open my mouth, TikTok might ban my account, hey? Your community is built next to gaffers. That's how white settlers saw you. You live similar conditions to those of gaffers. At least I am a proud gaffer. Jay, on the other hand, you're still searching for an identity of which race you belong to. I don't suffer that identity crisis, but you do. I'm not the one who gets called gaffer in their community, but you do. The brutality that happened to your ancestors must have been passed on to you. You're constantly a reminder of what whiteness is, and that is something that you'll never be, even when you're mixed. Now checkmate that.